ودلالة بأن الإسلام هو الدين الوحيد الذي يصلح للبشرية قاطبة.
One of the things that convinced me about Islam was actually not the Quran, because the Quran to me, before I was a Muslim, it was like a book. And I used to read the English translation of Quran, and I didn't really realize that this was the actual words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I was impatient. I couldn't understand it very well. I'm sorry, I found it repetitious and a little bit beyond me, beyond my understanding. What really attracted me was the seerah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that his character was so perfect and so such a paragon for us to emulate, to copy, to try to copy his character. That he was a kind person. He was gentle with his, even with his enemies. He was just. He was honest, he was kind, he was trustworthy. All the good adjectives that you can think about a person, this Rasulullah was to show us how we should be, how we should act, and we try to follow his sunnah. And this was really what made me love Islam in the beginning, was to read about the stories of the Prophet ﷺ and how he dealt with people. I actually said the Shahada in Ireland, and that was with my family in the countryside. My children were there, and actually my daughter wrote a poem about it once that I found many years later. And she said that a lot of people came to the house and we had a party, but it was very serious, and my mother and father changed their names, but they were still mum and dad to me. And I thought that was very sweet.
وبعد النطق بالشهادة قرأت القرآن وتمعنت فيه، والتحقت بالعديد من الدورات لتعلم اللغة العربية.
And my children have been brought up since then in Islam, alhamdulillah. And when we were new Muslims, we would learn the surahs of Quran from a cassette tape, because we weren't living near any Muslims. And so later on we had to relearn them really with the correct tajweed. And I've been on several courses in tajweed and in Arabic. I'm afraid that my spoken Arabic is still very weak, but alhamdulillah I can read Quran and understand a good deal of it. But alhamdulillah we have translation of Quran in English. My children, the boys, speak Arabic, alhamdulillah. It's easy for boys because you can send them away from home. You can send them to Arabic-speaking country, as we did, but the girls have to stay at home, so they didn't get as much Arabic as the boys. But alhamdulillah, they know how to read Quran at least and carry on a simple conversation, شوي شوي.
وعن شهر رمضان المبارك تروي ضيفتنا وتتذكر ما حصل معها في السنة الأولى من اعتناقها الإسلام، فتقول:
Well, we just finished the month of Ramadan, alhamdulillah, and the blessed month for all the Muslims. And I often remember my first Ramadan, which was in Ireland, and it was at the height of the summer. It was, I think, the longest day, something like maybe 20 hours. And it seemed like a long time. I was very worried when the Ramadan was coming, my first Ramadan, because we lived in the countryside and we worked very hard and we ate a lot of food. And my husband used to be a bit angry if the food wasn't ready in time. He said, "I'm a working man, where's my dinner?" And so I was really worried about how it would be for fasting, but alhamdulillah it was just so easy. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it so easy for us. The other thing that happened the first Ramadan is both my husband and I used to smoke cigarettes. And we asked Allah to help us, and the very first day of our first fasting in Ramadan, that was our last day. And alhamdulillah, because the night was so short, we didn't have any time to light up a cigarette. So I'm really, really grateful for that. And it was very easy for us, contrary to what I'd expected. I've got 5 children, alhamdulillah, 3 boys and 2 girls. And I've also got 9 grandchildren. Some of them live in England and some of them live in Saudi Arabia. So they're able to visit quite often, alhamdulillah. One of my sons was at Islamic University Medina, and he graduated from there, alhamdulillah, and he's also still, at the moment, still working in Saudi Arabia. My other children are still living in England, and one of them is living with me at home at the moment, the last one, alhamdulillah.
رحلة شاقة قد تطول وقد تقصر، لكنها في النهاية رحلة طيبة.
I'm living now here in United Arab Emirates, and I feel it's been quite a long journey to get here, actually. I traveled a lot in Europe when I was younger, and later on in Asia, in Afghanistan, in India. I was traveling for pleasure, for interest, trying to understand the people, have a look at the scenery, and I enjoyed that time a lot, and I think it gave me a understanding of other people and other cultures. But as I said, I had never been to an Arab country. One day I was in England, and I was looking through a magazine, an Aramco magazine, and I read about the Islamic University in Malaysia, the International Islamic University in Kuala Lumpur, and I thought, oh, that would be a nice place to work, and I applied to work there. And I didn't hear from them for a long time, but then suddenly they wrote and said, come over, we're ready for you, we're waiting for you. I'm an English teacher, by the way, a university teacher, and so I went to Malaysia for a couple of years, and then I went back later on another